Are we live? Chat would be able to confirm for me that we are live. That would be much appreciated. We are live. Excellent. It is a good confirmation. Could be alive, could be undead. I am not a zombie. I am an orc. Get it right. Jeez. How rude. Hello, everyone. Let me make some space and everything. So, that is a fair point, but I am still very much a not undead orc. Also, I think my microphone is peaking too much. I apologize about that. Did this get knocked out of place? I think one of my audio settings got knocked out of place. Yeah, that got knocked. That got made too loud. Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go. Let me swap to the appropriate scene. Whoop. Here we go. Hello. So, I am going to be painting. We are doing some models for a horror board game called Terrorscape. But here's the twist. I am going to start with a model of my choice and begin painting normally. With a color scheme that I think would work fine for it. But with the incentives to my left, you can choose to add colors to the palette of whatever miniature I am working on, or force me to change to another one. If you type exclamation incentive, it should pop up a list of all these incentives I have on screen, but more importantly, it should also post the link to an Imgur page. If you go there, you can see an image of every single model available. So you can go through there, find the one you want, and say, "Hey, I'm bored of watching this model. Go paint that one," and then you can donate $10 and say, "Make it pink." And I am not repainting any of these, just for the record. So if you make me have a pink werewolf, I am forced to permanently have a pink werewolf. These are all of them. The only exception is this one, which I already painted. It's the only one that I have painted. So this guy is off the table because he's done, and I don't want to redo it. Everyone else is primed, zenithal primed, and set up. So they are all ready to go. So, to start off with, Dad, you have the best timing. Would you close my door, please? I'm just messing with him. He started up his audiobook out in the living room. We're going to start with this lovely wailing lady as a beginning for our painting. So I am going to set this tray aside. You can see the big orange X that I literally painted on my mouse pad so I know where to hold things. And I'm going to get this on a painting handle, like so. I'm going to pull out my big wet palette. Actually, I am going to start with a speed paint, so I will keep that there. And we begin. So keep in mind, you can force me to have really demented horror game minis with odd paint jobs at your leisure by donating to the charity here with the incentives on my left. To start off, some purple alchemy. This is gonna talk about this a little bit here and there for those uninitiated. This is a speed paint, as it's called. That's basically the brand name, but it's effectively a type of paint that is much more watered down on purpose so that it will seep into the recesses of the miniature. So you see that these guys are a sort of combination of like black undercoat with a white from up top. That is a technique known as a zenithal prime, as it is meant to represent light from the sun's zenith, aka straight up at the sky noon, coming down. And it basically means that the miniature is set up in such a way that the dark recesses of the miniature, the like inner folds and whatnot, remain dark, and the raised portions are brighter. And contrast paints and speed paints like this work very well with this, for they are intended to be watery and seep into said recesses, and therefore be darker in the same spots that the zenithal prime is set up for. So it gives a very nice contrast and is very good for quickly painting things in a color. Most painters will then still take another color and give it a highlight afterwards, and you still may use other techniques such as shading and whatnot to darken it even further depending on your intended end result. But the speed paint speeds things up considerably. Now, my intent here at the moment, until you guys change it, is to paint this nice and purplish pink like so, and then dirty it up later on. Because, of course, this is supposed to be like a scary banshee ghost flying at you, wailing like a murderous killer kind of thing. Oftentimes, things will be much more vivid and bright early on in the process and then get darkened down later on with shades and whatnot. Favorite of mine has been recently to use oil paints, which take 1 billion years to cure. They don't dry, they cure, is the term. They give really nice results. Ah! Got it, what? I missed it. I missed it. How much was that? Who's that? How much was that? I'm losing my mind. I need the Tiltify page up. I need to bring that up. Yeah, cool. If you're paying attention at the moment, would you do me a favor and get me the link, either DM on Discord or just post it in chat for the list of donations? Warpstone green. You want our lovely girl to have some warpstone green. That's going to be a very interesting contrast. All right. You also have good taste. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to grab my water dip. All right. I can move the incentive then. I will move it up here. Come on. Roll so it stops trying to lock in place. And I'll move. Nope. Just this one. There we go. There we go. There, now I should be able to see it when it pops up then. Alright. There we go. Got water here. We want a warpstone green. I'm assuming you mean like a very vivid, bright green. I have a lot of greens. I do have actual Games Workshop Warpstone Glow. This is a layer, so it's not necessarily intended to be the base coat. So how I'm going to do this to make it actually look right is I am going to actually start with a much darker green as a speed paint and go up from there. And it'll look better as a result, I think, than just going straight to the color. So what I am going to try and do, based on your recommendation, is sort of blend. I'm not really great at blending, but I'll try. Blend the lower pink part of the dress into this upper green part of the dress. See, there's a reason I put this orange here, because if I'm not paying attention, I'll start painting all the way over here off of the camera. It's a bad habit. There's a reason I literally painted my mouse pad so I know where to hold it. So this upper part of the dress is going to get a dark green for now. And then I'm going to brighten it up considerably with the Warpstone Glow there. I'll have to put that on the wet palette and thin it down a little bit because it's not meant to be painted straight from the jar. But if I keep this pretty wet, I should be able to nicely, like, blend it into, like, a transition with the dress. Lower dress. Actually works pretty well. Oop. Now I accidentally got some of the pink up here. Get this. Oh yeah, I should probably turn on some music now, shouldn't I? No, while I was waiting for Ray to finish up, I started up some Slay the Spire in the background. So for me, I'm listening to, like, the battle theme music from Slay the Spire. But none of you can hear that, I'm assuming, because I don't have it set up as a source for this scene. So I will get together. You know what? I have an idea. We're just going to get some lo-fi beats started up in the background. So we are going to... Can you hear the background music? Let me know if it gets too loud, please. Should be some simple lo-fi beats in the background there. Blend this a bit more. I should also try and get these strands here. Want me to boost it up? I mean, it's lo-fi music. It's not going to be really, like, in your face or anything. But if it's too quiet, I can boost it up a bit more. Just let me know what you think. We'll keep an eye on the chat. Boost it just a tiny bit. We'll do in just a second here. Let me just get off what I already got wet on the brush. There, boosted it up a tiny bit. Once it's run. It's that annoying little area to paint because it's so many layers. Really bottom of the dress. Trying to get it in there. I'm not trying to be neat or anything. Alright. Now while I wait for this to dry for a little bit so that I can then put the next layer over, we're going to give her a very pale ivory-like skin, as one would expect of a banshee. So this is the first time I'm actually taking that aside, moving over to the wet palette. Because this is not speed paint. You make sure it's shaken properly. There we go. This isn't speed paint. This is more traditional acrylic paint. Actually, I want a different brush for this part. Let's see. You will do fine for me. Size 1. Alright. You know what? The green mixes in alright for this. Might have to do another coat. Slathered on that absolution very, very haphazardly. And it is very wet. Liquid. Okay, mixed in. Back of the hand right here. This guy ain't gonna want to dry too quick. let's do a different take. I'm going to take a... Hello, honey. How you doing? A bit of magenta here. We're gonna do a bit of edge highlighting on the dress here. Just trying to hit the raised portions of it. Brighten it up a little bit. That. Adding some contrast at the higher points. Hands are not the steadiest. Be a bit cautious. Lots of raised edges with all the frills on the dress. Oh, not that thick. Doing all of this will give the green a decent enough amount of time to dry. I'm going to give another shot at the skin here now that the green has dried a little bit more. Still may seep in a tiny bit because I can still see it a bit liquid, yeah. I should be able to get a better result. No, that's not so wet. I'll just paint the inside. Well, I'll want to come back later and make the mouth look proper like the inside of a mouth and wet. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna bug my brother and make sure he's not doing something that might mess with me. I don't know why I was dropping frames, but hopefully it'll clean up a little bit. I like that highlight though. Alright. Shall we get some of a brighter green in there? Get some green onto the palette. You can use water, but I already have it, so I actually used a little bit of acrylic paint thinner. Just a drop. There we go. That's enough. If that's right. Yeah, it's good. All right. Too thick of a glob there. Oops. And don't forget, for additional tips, you can change the entire model that I'm working on or add additional colors that I have to incorporate. If your end goal is to make this model look like an eclectic mix of whatever the heck, then you can accomplish that by donating to charity. Or you put color to the palette when you don't mix it with any other color. Why do you put color? So the wet palette. I use a wet palette like this. This is a sheet of hydro paper, and underneath is basically a sponge that absorbs a decent amount of water. It's still damp, even though I put the water in yesterday. It makes the paint last longer. Like, for example, if I wanted to, I could bundle this whole entire thing up, set it aside, pick it up tomorrow, and with maybe just like a tiny bit of mixing, I would be able to use these paints again. Meanwhile, had I put them on a dry palette, they would have dried out overnight. That's why I use this particular palette, even if I'm not doing mixing and whatnot. If you get into painting miniatures and such, I highly recommend a wet palette like this. It helps out a lot. Good question, though. But also, say I want to get an even brighter highlight, I could voluntarily choose to mix this with, say, the ivory or a white or something. The ball is back. If you wouldn't mind, would you toss in another incentive post? Just to remind the folks what they can do. Post that link again. So the reason also is paints like the Citadel paints. This kind of paint is not intended to be used straight from the bottle. It is too thick. I put it on the palette from the bottle so I can thin it to the appropriate level. That is also a major part of why I do it. This is not the appropriate thickness. Some of my paints, like Pro Acryl, tend to be the right thickness out of the bottle, but they're a dropper bottle anyway, so you need to put them on something. But Citadel paints, unless it's a contrast paint, which are already very thin and intended to do certain things, this is not intended to be painted straight from its bottle. I put it on the palette and I mixed in some paint thinner to thin it down to the appropriate level. To know it's the right thinness, that you got it to the right level, the common method is to use the inside of your wrist here. You know how you have texture on your skin? You can see, like, it's harder to see on camera, but in real life you can see like the bumps and whatnot of your skin. If you can paint over this and still see the detail underneath, then you have it thinned appropriately. But if you put it on, like let's say I put it straight from the bottle, if I put this straight on, that is way too thick. I can't see any of the texture underneath. That's why I put it on a palette. I need to thin it down appropriately. If you don't thin your paints, they look really blocky. They look really bad, to put it bluntly. So that is the actual reason. I sort of misunderstood your initial question. That is actually why you put it on a palette. You do not want it to be too thick. And most paints, most common acrylic paints, come thicker than they're intended to be painted on miniatures, especially Citadel. I actually don't really like Citadel paints very much at all because they aren't dropper bottles. Like, I use a lot of Army Painter and Pro Acryl because they're both dropper bottles and I can put them on the palette. Pro Acryl has the benefit of being already pretty much as thin as I want it to be. Like, this is straight out of the bottle, and that is the appropriate thinness already. Yeah, and if you start watching videos of people that do this stuff a lot more, then you'll notice most of them use palettes and whatnot. One channel I recommend very highly for learning painting is a channel called Squidmar. There are a couple of Swedish dudes that are really good at painting. Do a lot of advice, they do a lot of interesting challenges and whatnot, but they also are just straight up good stuff. There we go. Now the dark green is actually dry enough for me to do this without it forcefully blending its way in. That's one of the downsides with speed paint, is that it takes a while for it to dry because it's so wet in the first place. I don't put like a heat gun or anything to speed things up along here. Well, I do, but I don't have an outlet I could use for it. How do I spell that? Spell what? Sorry, I lost the context of what you were asking about. Just try and sound it out and I'll probably get what you mean. Squidmar. SQ, yeah, like Unknown said there. That's Squidmar. They're a YouTube channel. They don't really do Twitch. Just an FYI. It's a play on the name Sigmar. Sigmar is an important figure in Warhammer Fantasy, which they do mostly like Warhammer content and such. They do other like war games and stuff occasionally, but they're primarily, yeah. No, not Squidward. But I get what you mean. But yeah, I recommend them. There are a few channels I recommend. I actually follow a lot of painting channels. Another good one, the channel that gave me the appropriate tip for the wrist thing and explained it straightforward, is a channel called Eons of Battle. The microphone is still peaking too much. I'm gonna lower it a bit more. And that's another one I really like. Squidmar focuses a bit more on the teaching, while Eons of Battle does a lot more like challenge stuff, but he does have a couple of nice tutorial videos here and there. And he'll explain his reasonings for doing stuff as he paints. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Squidmar could paint a very mean Squidward if they wanted to. They are, they're at a level where they enter, like, actual Games Workshop sanctioned tournaments and get commendations and whatnot. They'll do stuff where they, like, paint up a miniature in 24 hours to submit to a grand tournament and still get, like, an honorable mention. So, yeah. They know what the hell they're doing. There we go. Now it's finally staying ivory instead of turning green. I sort of don't mind having it had turned green because it gives it sort of like a sickly undertone. And it is supposed to be a spoopy, scary, ghosty lady. That works. I'll have to get some reds and do that. I would not be surprised if Squidward were that vain. Bald and brass. More like belongs in the trash. Get wrecked! Highlights more on the front here. If I'm ever, like, completely off camera, even with the orange check mark on my table, please scream at me. Please. It's something I need to work on for this stuff. Especially considering I've also started recording videos myself. The color of on my brush while I paint a while it dries and I cannot form. I mean, you know what I mean, Materia. Regularly wet your brush. Do not go for extended periods. You'll notice occasionally. Well, you might not notice because it's off camera, but I have a bowl of water over here that I'll regularly go in and do that. You want your brush to remain wet. You don't want to take too much from the Citadel bottle. I try to take a little bit at a time. It depends on how much I'm doing. If I'm doing detail work, like I'm doing mostly like edge highlighting stuff now, I'll try not to necessarily fill the brush. And one thing you do not want to do is you do not want to fill your paint all the way down to here. Do not fill it all the way to this point. This is called the frenulum. It's a weird word, I know, but it's the part where the actual glue and such is that hold the brush together. And if you get paint and other stuff down there and leave it for too long, it can actually, like, undo the glue and cause your brush to worsen significantly. So that's another important thing to make sure you don't do. But every now and then, almost like regularly, I will feel like my brush is not doing enough, that not enough is coming off anymore. And so I will either get more paint, and every now and then, instead of just getting more paint, I will wash the whole thing off and then get more paint. So you need to keep your brush a lot more wet. My recommendation for brushes. Brushes matter too. The one I am using right now, this is a detail brush. This is a nice quality brush. This is it's called a Kolinsky Sable. It's the type of horse that you get the hair from. This is the kind of brush that I would use to do detail work, such as eyes and edge highlighting. If I wanted to do base coating, most of the time I would use just like any old synthetic brush, and they work just fine. A good set of detail brushes, a good set of Kolinsky Sables might run you a little bit of money. So if you can't afford it, just try and get a small synthetic brush and keep it quality. When you put your brushes away, ideally, you want them in a cup facing straight up when they're wet. Some things like the Citadel cup actually have this little indent to let you sit it like that, which is also ideal. You do not want to put your brushes down ever. 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 Because obviously that's going to crush the bristles and you won't have a nice point anymore. Anywho, let me get back to this guy. I may actually need to bust out a tiny bit more of that Absolution green. See, this is starting to dry rapidly, this speed paint. The only reason it's still even remotely alive is because it's speed paint and it's wet as heck from go. Yeah, Ballsy. I do painting streams on occasion on my channel, if you want to drop by. I mostly do variety gaming, but I also do paint on occasion. I also have a YouTube channel where I do it a bit as well, but I'm not really a tutorial kind of channel. It's more just like showing my kit bashes and painting those. I can also recommend channels, like I said, Squidmar is good, Eons of Battle is good. It's not miniature painting, but I really like North of the Border. Because, number one, he's hilarious, and number two, the stuff he makes is really good. It's like he does clay modeling more so than anything else. See, this is the kind of stuff I would normally not use a detail brush for. Just trying to glob this stuff on, but I'm just frankly too lazy right now to swap brushes. There are resources out there for you. And trust me, my initial miniatures when I started out were way too thick in paint. Alrighty. Let me set this aside. I want to get the inside of the mouth. I actually have another speed paint I'm going to use. Tiny bit. Don't need barely any of this at all, so I'm just going to try and do like a drop there. I try not to put too much more on the palette than I actually need. This is Army Painter Slaughter Red. It's a darker red. I'm going to use this to do the inside of the mouth a little bit. Looks a little bit more like Scream Re, you know? And that's all I'm going to use of that. So you will have to do more layers, but it'll look so much better as a result. I'm not sure if you were here earlier on when I explained it, but all of the miniatures I have for this are zenithal primed, which is a method you can use to help you out tremendously. You prime it black initially. So I just use a cheap matte black primer from Rust-Oleum. It's not even intended for miniature painting. The miniature painting intended primers are arguably better. They work better in some ways, but they're also tend to be more expensive, and Rust-Oleum works well. Just use some regular black primer, prime over the miniature, and then once it's dry, you also want a matte white primer, and you just lightly prime it only from the top going down, so that it hits the raised areas. You're not trying to put it on too thick, so you don't, like... Sorry, this is bothering me. It feels like my audio is... My gain got knocked up. All right, there we go. That should help a little bit. You don't want to prime it so much that it's super thick on the white. So it should afterwards look something like this, where the lower areas and the parts that aren't exposed don't look as white, but the upper parts do. Zenithal priming like this. The name meaning like the zenith of the sun at like high noon, coming straight down, is what you are emulating with it. So the miniature looks like the raised areas are brighter and all the recesses are darker and shaded. It is also sometimes referred to by the weird sort of like punchy term slap chop. You might hear it as here and there on YouTube if you start looking into more YouTube videos on painting and whatnot. But it is a very good way to start, because unless you're doing something really specific like I'm going to be doing with some other miniatures that I'm intending to paint in a very cartoony style, and so I have them primed purely white, it helps you out a lot in the fact that you don't need as many layers to paint on top of white as you do on black, because values. That's just color theory stuff. You need more layers to build up on top of black. You don't need so many layers to build up on top of white. Also, for thinning, I use paint thinner because I have it. You don't need fancy paint thinner. Do not go out and buy paint thinner if you don't already have something. Just use water. Oop. Down we go. We're good. All safe. These are actually pretty robust miniatures when it comes to it. But yeah. Feel free to bug me if you have any other questions. For now, I want... Move this aside again. And an even paler white. This is bold titanium white. A really, really, really nice white. Wet the brush. So when you wet the brush, this is another little tip. Wet the brush and wipe it off like so on your hand, spinning it as you pull it back. That'll help you maintain a tip, and you want to leave it at least mildly damp, but you don't want it too damp. So if you do that a few times, you should get it to the right way. Most painters you'll see, their entire arms and fingers and whatnot will be covered in paint by the time they're done because they use it to test. Especially Eons of Battle, I see that all the time on his stuff. Do not forget, folks, we are here raising money for the 12 Days of Indie Charity Marathon and the Marine Toys for Tots Foundation. Money goes towards helping kids have fun stuff they can do when they're interred in hospital, either for just extended periods of time or in the sad cases where it's terminal. Anything you donate towards the cause helps out a lot. And anything you tip right now messes with my miniatures. So, we are only just about to reach the 1 hour mark of my 3-hour block. I'm going to be going in full until 11 with you guys. This is the only miniature we've seen thus far. You can tell me to swap to a different one if you want to see any of the other miniatures by donating $20 to the kids. I'm going to do another little bit of highlighting on the upper part here with the warpstone glow, and then I'm going to get a brighter green to do an even more extreme highlight. All the higher raised areas and separate them out so it's not so singular. Stein here. And where is my, you know what, I'm going to use this is the green I want to use for the upper highlights. A little bit brighter. I don't necessarily want it to get too bright. After all, these are supposed to be horror minis. Consistency. See the texture of my skin through the paint, and it doesn't like wash off completely, so it's not too thin. I'm doing this a lot lighter, not as much of the area covered. Utmost tips, it's going to be pretty subtle, and it might not even appear much on my camera quality. Apologies about that. Something to keep in mind, paint always goes on a lot more bright and vivid than it winds up being once it dries. So, if it looks too bright initially, just trust the process and you can always fix it later. By the way, for those of you who do paint, what are your current projects you're working on? If you don't mind sharing with the class in that respect. I always got a bunch of things in the background that I need to work on. Besides getting these guys done, I need to do a bunch of Skaven stuff still for my Warhammer Age of Sigmar army. Be a lot of highlighting. I'm just gonna skip the Warpstone glow level on this. Go straight to the Crow green. That was directed at anyone working on projects and whatnot. If you do painting of miniatures or anything of the sort, and you got a project going on right now, what is it? Share with the class. I dare you. I double dare you, nerds. That's a little bit thicker than I need it to be. One thing you can do if you put things on too thick is just try and work it off with the brush and spread it out further if you can. This was way too thick. Go over it again and again and again. Thin it out on the model itself. A little bit. Oh, I need to actually wet this again. There we go, that's better. Stormcast Liberators, give it time. Yeah. Unknown Replacement is my IRL friend. For those of you uninitiated. Trooper for being up this early. I'm sure as heck tired. That is absolutely fair. have that green tone? There I do. This is another tool you can use for painting that helps a bit. There are washes and tones like this that you can use to sort of unify things together. It is on par in some respects with speed paint and contrast paint from Games Workshop Citadel paint line, but it is even thinner. You basically just lather it over the entire area, and it's subtle on the camera. It probably isn't really noticeable, but it helps to sort of like unify the colors together a little bit and bridge the gap between them. In this case, it's specifically green tone. Help it pop out a little bit more vivid. Be especially useful up front here because it's real dark. Hey Ken, did your paints come in yet? Yeah, nice. Yeah, I don't really need it for down there. That works out pretty well. All right. Yep. Thank you for reminding me I have coffee as well. Big ol' holiday themed bowl. French vanilla creamer. Nice. I'm going to do an extreme highlight on the raised areas of this. I have the magenta here, but I want it brighter. So I am going to load some on my brush here, make another spot over on my palette here. Then get a little bit of bold titanium white here and mix it together. Make an even brighter pink. Not very much, but going to really brighten the absolute tips of this. I'm going to try and use it very sparingly as a result. One other tip that I is more of a do as I say, not as I do, because I just broke the rule there. When you are putting paints on your palette, you want to keep them globbed up as much as possible until you're using them. Otherwise, they dry out quicker, even on a wet palette. So I spread this out way too thin here, way too wide. That is already mostly dried, because I got it way too thin and way too wide out. So keep that in mind when you're doing stuff. Since I only need like a small amount of it, it's fine in this case. But if I wanted to use it for longer, that would have been a poor decision. Tree mallet. There are some parts of the underside of the dress here that seem like the paint has gone away for the most part. They've faded to white. Not sure if you can see, but spots like here and here where it lost a lot of the color. I'm just repaint those over a bit in the initial color I used. Bead paint. And it goes on a lot more vivid than it winds up drying too, as I mentioned earlier. Right, that's good. That's a rat. I got a tiny bit more view before you completely dry out. Yes, I can. Oh, and you know the best part of all of this? Every single killer has 2 miniatures. Oh, my hands are not steady at all, Kebab Thief. Holy crap. No. My hands are not steady at all. I am just doing it through sheer grit. I do not have steady hands. Holding your arms in closer, propping them up against the table, and trying to keep it like this helps out a lot. But for the longest time, I thought I had carpal tunnel and my hands are not steady whatsoever. You can still do it. I still believe in you. I wish my hands were steadier, but I can still manage to get this kind of result. Never give up. I'm just reminded of that dude out in the middle of the ocean in the freezing cold, up to his knees. You know the video, you know the video. I want a little bit of a brighter green highlight. So, congratulations, you have been promoted to an even brighter green. I am always on my computer. This is another example of me spreading it out too thin, but I'm trying to mix it and I'm being impatient about mixing it, so. Nice, very pale, bright green. So yeah, I am putting my arms up against the edge of the table. I am moving myself in further, and I am holding it lightly. Compensate. This is only on the absolute peak points, so very little. Nope, that was a bit too much. I like that a lot more. This is doing it well, this ultra highlight. I don't know why, it just seems to be coming together a bit more. That is too much. With the brush and use the wet bristles to wipe off the excess. All right. Tiny bit more ivory on the face, and then I sort of want to do the eyes in a very dark black. Which, luckily for me, I already have some black on my palette from yesterday, actually. See, what palette helps. This isn't particularly the black I would want to use for this. It will still work. Clean this off again. Still had some green in it. Still does have some green in it. There we go. I hate doing eyes. This is not a fun part for me. Not a fun part for a lot of people. So, if you do not like doing eyes, you're not alone. Good enough. Screw it. I'm not gonna worry too much more about the eyes. I think she came out very well in the end. The mixed color dress was very interesting to do. Yeah. Toothpicks are nice. One last thing we gotta do on her. Okay, I was just pretty boring about that. I am going to get a simpler brush. Not a detail brush, just synthetic flat brush. And brown speed paint. We're just gonna do our base real quick and then call this one done. Move on to the next one. Later on my own time, once everything is dry, I'm going to take a dark black and I'm just gonna paint around the rim of the base, and that's about it. The only other thing I'm really gonna do with this. That's just so that the base isn't. If I cared a lot more, I would have done their bases with, like, dirt or added something to it, but for these, I'm just leaving them pretty simple. There we go. So far as I am concerned, she is done. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Boys and girls, non-binaries? I think it came out well. I'm going to set her aside. And we are going to start on Furry Boyo. Get a werewolf. And oddly enough, I already got an appropriate color that I just put on my thing. Brown. Brown speed paint. All over. Werewolf is gonna be pretty straightforward, honestly. More, actually. There we go. Glob this en masse. Speed paint, so it's already very thin. Now's your chance to make me add pink to the wolf or something, if you want. I don't know. You got an opportunity to ruin this guy. Or enhance him. Depends on how you look at it. But at the start of every single miniature, I am going to start with an appropriate color scheme. Then we will move on from there. To be honest, I'm going to be a bit disappointed if I don't end this stream with a hot pink werewolf because of charity. It's up to you guys. Oh, that was brown. That is a really good quote. Right. He actually does have pants. Went on really a lot of it, and it's dark, but it will dry nicely. The only problem is, since it's speed paint, it's really thin. So I am actually going to leave him aside here to dry for a little bit, because I cannot work with him at the moment. Everything will blend. That was a really quick start to that mini. How about for a bit of contrast, we start on one of the survivors. I live in a house with a dog. There's hair. So this is, as he's known, the athlete character. I already have a plan for what color his jacket's gonna be. Pretty easy. Start with this dark red. Not like super dark, but dark. I can't read that well enough. Sorry. I saw $10. I know somebody donated for a color, and I'm going to assume it's for the werewolf. Unless you decide you want it to be for this guy. But somebody could copy paste the text for that for me. I would appreciate it. Hot pink pants for Wolfie. Okay. That works. That works. As I mentioned, I gotta let the wolf dry a little bit. It is still much too wet for me to apply anything, but I will do hot pink pants. I need more of the slaughter red here. Ooh, nice. Got a game key giveaway. There we go. You may hear a dog on occasion in the background. That's my dog Ella barking at the nerds doing our new fence at the moment. It is. Our old fence is mostly rotted away for our yard. And so since they're doing work and they don't live here normally, she's going to bark at them incessantly. So apparently if you type with every single word capitalized at the beginning as one singular word, oh my god, who let this guy run these, you enter for a chance to win a random key giveaway for a game. So do that. You've been lurking by chance and you happen to hear me. Now is your chance. just didn't get this. Yeah, I didn't get the lower edges anywhere, really. Alright. Give me just 1 second. I wanna... Yeah, alright, it's not case sensitive. Give me just 1 second. I had Slay the Spire running in the background, and the dichotomy of the music, of the combat music and Slay the Spire, and the lo-fi music playing, was starting to drive me mad. So I needed to shut down the game. Getting there. Still pretty wet. Ripped up pants. Don't like the keyword? Well, that's too dang bad. You wearing jeans? Hard to tell at this level of detail. Should I give him jeans or should I give him slacks? What do you think? You could go like a leathery brown, or I could go a blue. Blue. We'll have to figure it out. But we all know what has to be done for the greater good. You're saying brown? Well, in the short term, I gotta do one thing real quick before I even worry about the pants, whether they're jeans or slacks. Wet the brush again. You know for a fact that his name is Chad. No, it probably isn't. There was actually this, pulling up the actual Himgar for myself to see what his name is. His name is William. And his art makes him a brunette, a brown hair. I disagree. His name is Chad and he's blonde. Because of course I have to go into stereotypes. I'm gonna start with a golden brown here and I'll brighten it up later on. Be a bit more vivid blonde. His papa owns the lake. Every single slasher movie trope screams that he needs to have a red vest and blonde hair. I don't write the rules. There we go. Got his hair done. Alright, I am going to set him aside over here. Try and thin this out a bit more so it dries quicker. When it's spread out more, easier. And to give it a little bit of extra time, and because I need to, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. I go 3D print a football. I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. We will be right back. I'm going to play this little video for you all in the meanwhile.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
You're back. Hey, Ella. Ella, come here. Yes, I did wash my hands before you asked. Puppy girl. Have a little puppy break. This is the one who's been barking outside this whole entire time. Good girl. Puppy break for everyone. You never get to see her this way in person, Ken, because she's always way too hyper for you. It takes her like 20 years to eventually calm down to this point whenever you're over. Dude loves you all. Her name is Ella. Ella. Yes, you're a good girl. Hope y'all don't mind a little dog petting break. Frankersy, 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 Frankersy. Doggy break is not bad, no. Alright, she's done. Which is all well and good because my hand was starting to get cramped a little bit from petting her like that. Don't paint the dog. He's good at avoiding it. Alright, let's give you some proper pants. Speaking of dogs, what the dog doing? To bring it to the right level of pink, we're going to start with magenta as arguably the darkest tone of this pink. Make sure my brush is wet again. Now she's outside barking at the guys doing the pets again. As is the natural order of things at our household. Right point. Or is a little bit weird. Give me a second, folks. Father has asked me to go retrieve the dog from outside so he can lock her in so she stops barking. Ah! Alright, I'm back. It's a decent amount of detail in this. Good morning, Miss Pinkies. Do the wet the brush again. Here. Relevant to your name, we're painting some hot pink pants on a werewolf here. Starting with the darkest color, magenta. And this color is brought to you by donation from unknown Ken in the chat, who tipped. I always am used to saying tip because when it's my stream it's a tip, but here it's actually a donation, who donated $10 for hot pink pants on the werewolf. And you too can influence the paint job that I am doing by donating to Toys for Tots. And just for the record, if we are near the end of my block and you still donate a tip, I will keep to my word and use whatever color you add, even after the stream is done. This is permanent. These models are keeping these colors permanently. There's just something to keep in mind in case you have some trepidations about donating late. Because I know painting takes a little bit, but it will still have an effect on the final product, no matter what. That's right to the point. That's not enough. You can still do it. My hands are not steady whatsoever. You gotta brace yourself nicely. And have patience with it. I believe in you. Assuming you want to get back into it, that is. You've moved on to quote-unquote greener pastures or don't too much care to get back into it, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you ever have a desire to get back into it, I believe in you. For I certainly do not have steady hands. I think that's a good first coat. A little bit further into these recesses here. Oh, phasmophobia? Oh, you're gonna have fun with that. see a spot I missed. There we go. That is a solid first coat for our friend here. Alright. I'm going to let that dry. Actually, in the meanwhile, I can still keep working on our werewolf friend here. I'm just going to move elsewhere. By that I mean to the mouth and teeth. First, I want to get the throat and mouth a darker red. Luckily, I still have a lot of red speed paint here. And if I'm careful about avoiding getting it out of bounds, I can do this pretty nicely. Oddly enough, it's going to be easier to paint the teeth white from red than it is from brown as a value. I don't mind getting the teeth all up here too. Now, normally, I would go into doing like blood effects and whatnot on the claws and such and mouth. And I will likely do that at some point, but I'm not going to do that during this stream. Mostly because we're raising money for kids. And I feel a little bit inappropriate to focus on that part now. What I will do, however, is let me get that ivory that I already have. And I'll do it nails. Let's paint his nails. And you get a nice manicure. Ella! You. Stop barking. Stop it. Ella, look at me. Stop barking. Stop it. Stop it. You're a cutie. Stop it. Love you. Oh yeah. There are a ton of effect paints and whatnot. So I have coagulated blood. I have vomit. This is called chipping medium. You paint it on before you do a color. You then proceed to paint on that color, and then you wipe it with a brush and it chips it off so that it looks naturally like chipped paint on, like, say, scale vehicles and whatnot. I have a couple different rust effects. Bile. This is a turquoise oxide kind of rust, so a different variety for a different reaction. I also have verdigris. This is color shift paint. I don't really use this one much. But this is a weird kind of thing. It's for very specific stuff. I got it for a particular project, and I didn't really wind up liking how it came out. I wound up using a different color in the long run. Then you got, like, fluorescence and stuff. I don't actually use the chipping medium that often, mostly because I suck at it. I'll be honest. But yeah. Putting those back before I forget to sort them out again. I also have somewhere, probably not in here, but elsewhere, an effect for like more flowing recent blood, because the coagulated blood dries darker, like dried blood. Anywho, reset this a little bit. As I was saying before my dog so rudely interrupted, hello Rose, congrats. We are going to give our little friend a manicure. Here. This is going to be a pain. This is going to be a pain. You would be forgiven for not going to this level of detail on what is effectively a tabletop board game miniature. This isn't even for like wargaming battles and whatnot. This is for a horror board game called Terrorscape, which we have not played yet, even though we have all the models and the board and everything. All right. Materian, I dare you to make cool wrong with that on your next keyword. Just saying. Yeah, I'm going to mess this up a ton. Especially at this angle. Close enough. Can I do the teeth well enough now? I think the red is dried enough. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. I'll clean that up in a second. Yeah, that's still... I'll have to go over that again. Some of the red was still too wet. I'll have to clean that up. Speaking of cleaning up, need a bit of the brown back. Up here a bit with it. Back to fur color. Speaking of the fur, though, I am going to show you all a method of painting called dry brushing here. I just need to find an appropriate brown. That ought to do. So dry brushing is, as I've heard it jokingly referred to before, the method of painting where you waste all your paint. But it has a very important purpose. So, I'm not even going to put this on the wet palette because I'm not going to use that much, and because of how I have to work with it. So instead of getting a detail brush like this, I am going to actually grab what is really... Let's see if I can find the one I specifically want. There it is. This is just a cheap makeup brush. They sell specific dry brushes, but makeup brushes work just fine. I'll put that in there. It's covered in paint. Now I don't directly apply it. Instead, I waste all of the paint by wiping it off until it's mostly dry. And then, with a wide brush like this, that's sort of rounded, I go over the top. And the idea is that the dry brushing paint will hit all of the raised areas on the model. Which works very well for things like fur and such. To add some highlight. I don't think I was getting it worked in well enough. There we go. It's sort of subtle at first, but once you do it well enough, go hit all the raised areas. Just go brighten it up a little bit. Add some contrast. You'll see it mostly on the chest here. See how dark that chest hair is? It remains dark in the recessed areas where it's supposed to be dark. Everywhere else brightened up a little bit to reflect the fact that it's closer to the light. Tail up a little bit too. Inside the arm here. Yes. A lot more contrast now. I didn't dry this off as much this time, but that's fine. Isn't that cool? Probably not super obvious on the quality of webcam that I have, but it is noticeable, especially in person after the fact. Is it up? That's dry brushed. Now, this part of our boy here Seems a little bit lighter. I'm going to get some barbarian flesh here on the wet palette. Just a little bit. And I feel like he would have some degree of mange or something where some of his fur is falling out here and there. So I'm just going to add in some pale in here. Represent that there's flesh underneath. That the fur isn't so thick there. Too. Belly's a little bit splotched with skin tone there. That should be good. Now, the eyes. I want the eyes to be glowing bright red, but to start, I am going to paint them white. Pure white, not even ivory, pure white. So that is a lot more vivid once I get to the red. And once again, I will reiterate, I do not like doing eyes. Very tedious and rough to do, but it will be done. There's one. Wet the brush again. Rough doing the eyes. Having a little bit of it around that area though should be fine because it'll just add to the glowing. Later on, I'm going to take like a fluorescent red and paint over that again. It'll make it like a bright glowing red eyes and stuff, which is the point. Now, get some ivory back on the brush and try and do this side of the teeth again. I think it should have dried a bit more by now. That's a bit better. Too much though. Nice smile. Oh yeah, and one more thing I can do with the skin tone is the inside of the ears. Which arguably... No, not the golden brown. Wrong color. This one. Which would be lighter. Skinny. There we go. Alright. Now, let us return to the hot pink pants. Let's see, do I have any... I don't really have many pinks, I'll be honest with you. This might do something. We'll give this a shot. Same color I used a bit for the dress of our screaming banshee lady. I'll see what it adds a little bit. I'll do it on a small portion, see if I like it. If not, I can wipe it off. Just repaint over it with the magenta. You know what? I actually do like it. And it's going to dry less vibrant than this, so worth it for a start for now. Go over the whole entire thing with a light layer of this. But in the end, I feel like this should make it much more vibrant. Hot pink. Hello, stop. Sorry if I startle you, chat. Another little dog break. Sit. Sit. Puppy girl. Puppy girl. Puppy girl. Puppy girl. Puppy girl. Puppy girl. She's a kitty. A few more scratches, but let's get back to her. Thank you for coming in, Ella. Now she's gonna go bark again. Unsurprised. Not even remotely surprised. Reaching some weird access parts of the model underneath. That should be good coverage. Of course, as I said, it's drying not as vibrant as it was. I'm going to do some edge highlighting on the fur while I wait for that to dry. Wet the brush nicely. It maintains a tip, and we are getting some golden brown. We are just going to be doing the tips of things. Very highlighted edges of stuff. Not every single one. The more prominent ones that catch the eye. That's too much. That's better. If highlighting like this, we could do even a lighter dry brush, but it wouldn't have exactly the same effect. And I wouldn't have as much control. So, keep in mind the thought. Different methods, different times. brush is getting pretty dry. Alright. I think the pants have dried enough such that I can... Where's my magenta sitting? There it is. Go highlight back up to magenta here. Actually, sort of want to do a dry brush with this, so we will do that. So, done again. Well, mostly dry brush. Want to leave the purple alchemy, as it's called, stuff, the darker color in the recesses, is the darkest shade. I otherwise want to bring it back up mostly to a magenta. And then I want to edge highlight again properly in a mix of magenta and white to brighten it up. I think that's good. Considering it's a dry brush, it's already probably, dry. So. Take a drop of this. Mix 1-to-1 with a drop of bold titanium white. Go. That is going to be a lot brighter. I'm actually going to mix it with this. Mixing with the detail brushes tends to suck. That's a lighter pink. They will tend to get messaged in bulk later on during the event. But specific answer to that will come from the mods, I believe. There we go. Now we got really bright pink highlights. See that bit. I was a moderator in previous events, so I have a vague knowledge of how it worked out. I don't know if they've changed up procedure, but I don't see why they would. They're just coming out nice, I think. That was a bit too thick. Use a wet brush. Wet it down and then wipe it off on the pants because I don't care about these pants. Basically. All of my shorts have basically become painting pants at this point. Voluntarily wipe off paint on my pants instead of reaching for a rag or anything just because it's quicker. Too much of an impatient nerd. I think that came out pretty damn well. I'm quite happy with that. Last thing I really gotta do is actually get the eyes red. So, let us do that. I have a fluorescent red. I barely need any of this. Actually, let me make sure it's struck up first. Solution to that. Grass rod I use for pinning miniatures to bases. Hook that through. There we go. I should be able to get out as much as I actually need, which is nothing. There we go. That is arguably more than I even need. So all it's going to be doing is going over this. That. That looks pretty damn good. Glowing red eyes. And as I said, I'm going to add blood effects, but I will be doing that off stream. Last thing we need to do is I'll use red. I still got some left here. Yes, I do. I just paint up his base very quickly with a dark red. Not too worried about getting the sides. I'm going to do those black eventually, but where I get. I'll do the sides a little bit too, though. I think that looks good. There we go. Now we got focus. What you guys think? I'd say it came out nice. Let's bring him up again, shall we? Chad Chaddington the Chad. He has a long sleeve shirt. All right. Probably gotta do the undershirt white. That feels about right. So I'm going to go to a darker color first. And I am going to do the... Where is... Where did I put it? I know I pulled it out at some point. Put it back. Yes, I did. Carbon leather color speed paint for the pants. Make sure I clean up this brush. Black boots, just to contrast a bit more. I have an idea. It is always easier paint higher light values down to darker values than it is to do the reverse. So if something's closer to white, it is easier to get it closer to black. If it's something that's already black, it takes a lot more effort to get it back up to white. Value, value, value. got some tan pants. Let me get Ivory on the brush. Do his arms. The start as an off-white, but I imagine them more a straight white. So, considering the scenario and the horror movie vibe, they would probably be dirty at this point. It's not too bad to start with Ivory. Or half of a prison jumpsuit trying to disguise as a high school athlete. That is certainly a vibe. Since I am trying to do a lighter color, I am probably going to need more than one layer of this painted on. Alright, now it's probably the more annoying part that I have to do is the center portion. I'm holding my breath in, all sort of like Call of Duty sniper style. Try and keep my hands steady. west a bit. I'll grab some coal black. Those boats. Nobody gonna donate $10 and force me to give him like blue skin or something? Cause he still got time. I have to wait until that red dries a bit. Go get pork. Neo wet the brush again. Getting too dry. Losing it still. Oh jeez. Give me a second. I'm gonna go check on the barker.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
Ella, come here. Ella, come here. You are a cutie. You are bark, 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 bark. Yep. Come here. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come back. Come here. Yeah. Good girl. There we go. Hey, Dira. Materian, who's up next? Slideshow for y'all? Hero is up next, alright. Yeah, there's not all too much more I can get done in the next 5 minutes. It is a slideshow. I think it's stabilized. Oh, nope. I'm dropping a few frames again. Been a bit annoying. Luckily, we're near the end of the show. Yeah, it was dropping frames, so it was still streaming, but it was chugging, effectively. Prince Adam. Yeah. The skin has not been done yet. I definitely need to do another shade or two of the ivory. Still got a lot of work to do, but pretty solid start so far. And on top of him, in this 3-hour block, we finished Banshee, they donated to add the green coloring. She's spooky scary. sort of like the fact that I didn't paint in the eyes. It sort of gives it a hollow feeling. Missing the ascot. We also got our Woofy boy done, werewolf. Hot pink pants, glowing red eyes. This one came out the best, honestly. Quite happy with the results of that. So 2 completed minis. One mostly done. Oh, based up. Hero, are you all set? I can linger about a bit, or I can hand it over to you like a couple minutes early because I'm not going to be able to get anything else done. Just let me know whenever you're ready. For now, we'll just chill with the music. Yeah. Good music. Solid music. Love it. Dark Lunar, dude? Ah, I gotcha. With the next streamer, please step up. Please stand up. Please stand up. Yep. We'll just chill with the music for now. Night shift, graveyard shift, jeez. I would never want a graveyard shift, I'll be honest. I do not envy you, I will say that much. Ah, jeez. Dick no fun. I'm going to start putting away some of these paints. Got a lot of paints here. Paints. Yeah, at least the show was good. That always helps. There we go. Dry brush. That is water. Oh, don't knock it over on my keyboard. Yeah, maybe. Ella! Ella? Ella! Now she's coming. No. People would like to see you for the time being. I would not mind. She's a boxer mix. Her name is Ella. The only reason her name is Ella is because there were like 3 dogs at the pound named Bella and they needed to differentiate them. You're a cutie girl. Happy. Yeah. Basically. I can reach this nicely. Not you? No? Not really interested in the dog toy at the moment. More interested in going back out and barking. Lie down. Go. Got a dog cam while y'all work out. Replacement strimmer. Fine by me. Nubis, gotcha. Big puppy yawn. Peace, Ken. I am pretty tired. And was going to go take a nap. I got some stuff this evening I gotta do. They do got Anubis coming in. You done, Ella? Sorry, I did not mean to expose that much chest. Ella's done. My hand is cramping up from petting her so much. Let me just show some other stuff I've been. right. Thank you kindly, everyone, for dropping by. I have been GrommTheOrc. Hopefully, if you enjoy miniatures and variety gaming, you can drop by my stream time. Yada yada. This has been fun painting for y'all. Got a couple models done. I'll hand it on over to you, Anubis. Peace!